Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Ask the Ambassador social media town hall. I'm Karen Kelly. Please call me Karen. I'm the press attaché at the U.S. Embassy in Tokyo, and I'm very pleased to introduce you to U.S. Ambassador to Japan, John Roos, who has joined us from the Embassy studio. Ambassador Roos, welcome to the Ask the Ambassador town hall.
Well, thank you, Karen, and thank you, all of you who are on from the different schools and from Roppongi Hills Academy. We're excited to have you. This is the first time I've done something like this, and I think it's going to be great taking your questions on Google Hangout. And I hope you won't be shy. I'll hope you ask me whatever you want to ask me and follow-up questions, and hopefully we can make this a dialogue. So this is something new that we're trying here at the Embassy, but one of the things that I have felt important since I became the ambassador almost 4 years ago was to reach out to young people such as yourself. So thanks for having me and for all of you taking your time to be with us today.
Well, we're excited to get started, Mr. Ambassador. I think as some of our participants know, ever since the ambassador arrived in Japan in 2009, he has valued real dialogue with Japanese youth and has visited numerous university campuses for discussion sessions. The ambassador is also very active in social media, and he has over 60,000 followers on Twitter. He encourages members of the U.S. mission in Japan to connect and to engage with Japanese people via social media too. So for today's session, we have various groups who are with us today, and we've asked them to submit questions for you, Mr. Ambassador. As you can see, we have 4 groups of young people gathered here on this Google Hangout, and they're ready to ask their questions. So let's meet them all first. Let's go to a group of high school students from Shibuya Kyoiku Gakuen, Shibuya High School in Shibuya, Tokyo.
Hi, we are from Shibuya Kyoiku Gakuen, Shibuya High School. My name is Maya Fujita. I used to live in America for a year, and I want to go many more countries in the future. Thank you.
My name is Masahiro Matsuyama, and I lived in the States for 6 years. And I want to go back to study at the States without college. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Minato Nata, and I studied abroad to US for a year, and I want to be an astronaut in the future, and I'm glad to be here.
Wow.
Great. Next, we have a group of college students at our consulate in Naha, Okinawa. These are university students from the University of the Ryukyus and International Christian University. Please introduce yourselves, Naha.
Hi, Ambassador Roos. My name is Shuta Higa. I've been studying at Okinawa Christian University graduate school for 2 months. I participated in the U.S. consulate program and also Tomodachi program. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk with you. Thank you.
That's great.
Hi, I'm Mr. Roos. My name is Saika Shiroma. I've been studying at Okinawa Christian University for 3 years and a half. I went to the US for study abroad, and I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mr. Roos. My name is Wataru Gima. I've been studying at the University of Ryukyus for 2 years, and I participate in the English morning activity by Naha Consulate. Very nice to talk with you. Thank you.
That's great.
We are also joined by 15 high school students in Toyama Prefecture. This is Toyama Chubu High School. So Toyama, please go ahead with your introduction.
Hi.
We are a member of Toyama Chiba High School English Club. In the beginning, we like to show our deep morning toward the victims of hurricane in Oklahoma. Then, my name is Airi Yamaguchi, and I am senior at the school this year.
Higuchi and Ms. Shimizu. I'd like to thank you for this great opportunity.
Well, thank you.
Hi, my name is Shimizu. I'm a third grade student, and I am very happy to have such a good opportunity, and I'm very thankful to you. And I should also appreciate for our principal, Mr. Kawagoshi, to make a decision to join in this project.
That's great.
Hi, I'm Mitsuki Tanaka. I'm in the second grade, and we thank for our coordinator, Ms. Sano, and our ideal of intelligence. And we also thank for everyone to have supported us. And I've been looking forward to meeting you, Sincerely Ambassador. Thank you.
Great, and finally, we are also joined by a few young professionals from Roppongi Academy Hills. Roppongi Academy Hills, introduce yourselves, please.
Hello, we are only working people team here, and my name is Aya Kayoka. I'm working at chemical industry. I studied at US Law School for a year. We all graduated from Global Agenda Seminars conducted at Roppongi Hills.
Great.
Good morning. My name is Takahiro Chiba. I work in consulting industry. It's very nice talking to you.
Hello, Ambassador Roos. I'm Izumi Yamamoto. I work in American IT company Hewlett Packard right now. Thank you very much for this great opportunity.
Well, thank you. And by the way, my iPhone just got handed to me, so I can take some pictures of all of you during the next hour.
Great. Well, let's get started. For this town hall, everyone joining us today submitted questions that they would like to ask you, Ambassador Roos. We'll be covering a wide range of topics today, from economic issues to the Tomodachi Initiative. Let's begin with a question from Shibuya on your role as U.S. Ambassador to Japan. Shibuya Kyoiku Gakuen, Shibuya High School, please go ahead with your first question.
Ambassador is one of the jobs I'm very interested in. And what do you think about your job and how it affects people?
Well, that's a great question. Let me tell you, becoming the U.S. ambassador to Japan, which is one of our closest friends and allies in the world, is an incredible honor and has been an amazing opportunity. By the way, not only for me, but my entire family. My two children are grown up now, but my son came here in high school and actually hung out in Shibuya a lot. So I'd love to hear more about what he might have been doing all those weekends in Shibuya. But being an ambassador is a wonderful job. You have the opportunity to get involved in all kinds of different issues. Obviously, issues that involve both the United States and Japan, both security issues and economic issues. And Karen mentioned our Tomodachi Initiative, which is bringing our younger generations together. So you're involved in issues between the two countries, but then you also deal with regional and global issues. And those are everything from the North Korea situation towards building better relations in the entire region, to dealing with issues such as global warming, global poverty, and I could go on and on. The issues in the Middle East, for example, that we are working together with Japan right now. So the role of an ambassador is the president's representative in the country to deal with everything that the president of the United States would be doing and working with this country on. In addition, there's a whole people element to it. And you are responsible, but it's something I love doing, for really getting to know the country and being the face of the United States in the country. So I've traveled all over Japan. As Karen mentioned, I've met with young people throughout Japan because I believe that you are the future of the relationship between our two countries. I think it's incredibly important to do things such as what we're doing right now on Google Hangout, so that you can better understand my country. And just similarly, I'd like our younger people to better understand Japan, because as I said, that's the future of the relationship. So this is a job, being ambassador to Japan, that in my wildest imagination, I never thought I'd be doing. I used to be a lawyer in California. In fact, Google was one of my firm's clients, as was Hewlett-Packard, which I know you from the Academy of Hills just told me you work there. So this is something that the president asked me to do, and it's just been an unbelievable fun job. So I highly recommend it. And when you become the Japanese ambassador to the United States, I hope you will invite me to some of the events at your residence in Washington, D.C., which, by the way, the Japanese ambassador has a spectacular residence there and is a wonderful representative. Ambassador Sasaya is a wonderful representative of Japan to the United States. So Karen, why don't I kick it back to you?
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Next, we go to Naha Consulate, and we'll take a question from one of the participants there. Naha, go ahead.
I participated in the Clinton Global Initiative University, CGIU, 2013 last month. Then the Tomodachi Initiative helped me by founding my participation in CGIU. I really appreciate it, and thanks to it, I really had a good experiences there, and also these have given me confidence. Okay, so this is a question. I heard the Tomodachi Initiative helps young people to become leaders in the world, and it was also established after the Great East Japan earthquake. So, what is the connection between these two?
Well, that's you guys are coming up with some great questions here, so we're off to a very good start. Let me back up a moment and just tell you about the Tomodachi Initiative, how it started and where it is today, because I think that's the way of getting to your question. The Tomodachi Initiative did begin in the aftermath of the Great East Japan earthquake. A number of us, after the United States' Operation Tomodachi, we in the U.S. government were trying to find ways to continue to help the people of Japan, and in particular the people of Tohoku, once the military operation ended. And I took a trip up to the Tohoku region, one of a number of trips, and a conversation I had with the mayor of Rikuzen Takata, Mayor Toba, up there. He said to me, you know, Mr. Ambassador, we're looking to the Japanese government to rebuild our houses, our infrastructure, but one thing you can do is to help provide hope to the young people of Rikuzen Takata and connect them to your country, the United States. So that's how we came up with the idea of creating the Tomodachi Initiative. And initially, it was to connect the young people of Japan, young people of Tohoku, to the young people of the United States. But because we began to raise millions of dollars, and there was such an outpouring of support from both the Japanese corporations and United States corporations, we expanded the scope of the Tomodachi Initiative to connect all of the young people of Japan, including but not limited to the Tohoku younger generation, but all the young people of Japan to all the young people of the United States. And we're focusing on three areas. First, academic and educational exchanges. Second, cultural exchanges, and in that regard, we're focusing on the arts, on music, on sports. And finally, entrepreneurship and leadership. And obviously, the Clinton Global Initiative is a phenomenal example of leadership development and leadership opportunities. And so we thought by sponsoring you, as part of the Clinton Global Initiative, we need leaders from the United States connecting with leaders of Japan, and in fact, connecting with leaders all over the world. So it fits into exactly what we are trying to accomplish in the Tomodachi Initiative. So I'm very glad to hear that you had a great experience at the Clinton Global Initiative. I met a group of the Tomodachi participants in the Clinton Global Initiative, and I was incredibly impressed with the group of young people that I met. And I hope we will continue to be able to support young people in Japan participating in that initiative. Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Now we have another question on the Tomodachi Initiative from Toyama Chubu High School. Please go ahead with your question.
Thank you, Karen. I'm also interested in Tomodachi Initiative. I think it is a great project that not only improves the relationship between American and Japanese, but also helps young people to develop into the world leaders. I saw you sent many Japanese students, mainly from the Tohoku region, to America. Then I have two questions. First is, do you intend to extend this project to other places in Japan? And second is, what are some ways that Japan and America can work together to increase the number of Japanese students who study abroad?
Well, we already have expanded the program beyond the Tohoku region. And so now it does cover all of Japan as well as all of the United States. So I would very much encourage you to go to our website and look at that. Right now there's 25 different programs that we are actually supporting. And I think there's all kinds of programs in the areas that I just spoke about. So that is something that is an opportunity for you in Toyama, as well as the 46 other prefectures. We are focusing on programs all the way from, hopefully we'll have programs from Hokkaido all the way down to Okinawa. So I think there'll be plenty of opportunities for your younger generation to connect up. And I think we're looking to your generation in connecting up with our generation to really develop the skills necessary to solve the world's problems. I hate to put such a big obligation on you, but you are the generation that's going to be not only responsible for strengthening the U.S.-Japan relationship, which this relationship, by the way, has been very responsible for not only keeping peace and security in this region of the world, but helping to solve many of the world's most difficult problems. And I think your generation, through your school, through getting to know each other, through these different programs that we're talking about, are going to lead to you developing expertise in many different areas that will help solve world problems. So I'm very optimistic on what you're going to accomplish out of this. And in my view, the sky is the limit. Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Okay, now let's move to a location that's a little bit closer to you and I in Roppongi Academy Hills. And I believe we have a question about cooperation between the U.S. and Japan in innovative fields. Roppongi Hills, please go ahead.
Hello, Ambassador. My question is about innovation tie-ups. I think the more important emerging markets are for U.S. economy and Japanese economy, like BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China. The less important the trade volumes are assumed to be, I'm relatively speaking, between U.S. and Japan. However, the popular American products like the iPhone or Boeing 787 use a lot of Japanese products as important components. I think U.S. and Japan can cooperate for innovation. My question is about in what field do you think Japan and U.S. can cooperate for the innovation? And what type of innovation do you hope Japanese companies to come up with for encouraging the tie-ups between US and Japan?
Well, that's a great question, and actually, you should be over here with me right now because you're pretty close by. But there are so many areas for the United States and Japan to cooperate. We are two of the most innovative countries in the world that have some of the highest research and development spending in the world. And I personally there already has been tremendous cooperation in areas such as renewable energy, climate change. We work together under the oceans and up in space. But some of the areas that I think in particular that I would like to see our two countries even step up our cooperation, I just named one of them, the renewable energy area. If you look at the future, and listen, all of us lived through March 11th, and we now are fully aware of the significant energy issues that Japan faces. But the entire world faces energy issues, and the entire world needs to develop renewable energies to confront the climate change issue, for one. And I think that is one particular area where, given the fact that both of our countries are on the cutting edge of research and development, we could do a tremendous amount of work together in. I'll name one other area, I could keep going, but an area that is tremendous concern to Japan and the United States, and in fact the entire world right now, is cyber security. And once again, this is an area that we need to pay increasing attention to and put the best and the brightest resources and minds throughout the world to work on resolving cyber threats. And I would love to see the United States and Japan have increasing collaboration and cooperation in that regard. Now, we've already done a lot. In fact, we just started a cyber dialogue between our two countries that I hope will expand. But this is something in the private sector area where I think a lot can be done. And let me just comment on your comment with regard to the BRIC countries, the emerging growth countries. It is true that both the United States and Japan and other countries have increasing focus on the market opportunities in some of these growing economies. But there still is tremendous depth and breadth of the opportunities between the United States and Japan. Anecdotally, I will tell you this, just in the last couple of months, since there has been this renewed focus on the economic growth of Japan, I've had a number of companies from Silicon Valley, where I worked for 25 years, come and ask me, how can we bring our products to Japan in the energy area, in the cyber area, in the health area, because there is still tremendous opportunities here in Japan. And the same is true in the United States. Actually, the level of investment by Japan in the United States is growing, is significant and growing. And in fact, the mergers and acquisitions activity, Japanese corporations investing in and acquiring U.S. companies, has been expanding. So while both our countries are focused on the emerging economies, I think both of us, in both the public sector and private sector, recognize that there are still tremendous opportunities in each of our countries. Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. I mentioned at the outset of our dialogue that the ambassador has been very active on social media, and his followers have submitted some questions. So let me introduce one. and ask the question to you, Mr. Ambassador, on behalf of @Otahara. Karaoke ni wa ikimasu ka? Tokui kyoku wa nani? Do you like karaoke? What songs do you like to sing?
I love karaoke. You know, we have, since it's arriving in Japan, every once in a while we go out to karaoke bars here in Tokyo. But I've also done it now and then when I'm out on the road in the hotels and just go in and try with the group of people I'm traveling with karaoke. I'm horrible. I'm a horrible singer. But my staff assistant, who is a great singer, and we used to go, and I would enjoy more listening to him than listening to myself. As far as what my favorite songs are, it's probably dating myself. It's not the type of stuff that you guys would like. But there is this play, Bye Bye Birdie. And there's this and you're all giving me blank looks because you've never heard of it. But the music from Bye Bye Birdie, I can really get going on with karaoke. And that's my best stuff.
Great. Thank you. Well, we're heading back to Shibuya, so they can ask you a question about 311 and Operation Tomodachi, and maybe tell you about their favorite karaoke song too. Shibuya, go ahead.
I saw the Operation Tomodachi on TV, and I thought it was very interesting. But I searched on the internet and saw that it cost over $90 million, and I want to know what made Americans to want to do this operation. And I went to the Tohoku area twice, and I saw the damaged area, and I was very shocked seeing it. And I want to know how you feel by seeing that damaged area.
Well, that's a really good question, and you know, going from karaoke to this question is from a light question to a very serious question. You know, when March 11th happened, I was actually here in the embassy, and you know, we saw on our iPhones and you know, through TV and everything the extent of the tragedy. And I was out in the parking lot because obviously we evacuated the embassy, and it was there that on behalf of the government here I declared an emergency. But I also talked to Washington, our leadership in Washington, as well as our military leadership, the commander of U.S. Forces Japan. And from the president on down, there was an instinctual reaction, an immediate reaction that we as the United States, as a close friend of Japan, and also just because it was the right thing to do to help human beings that are in their time of need, we immediately said, and the president said, do everything possible to help the people of Japan, and in particular the people of Tohoku, confront this crisis. So on the military side, we obviously had Operation Tomodachi, which, by the way, it doesn't matter how much it cost, but it was significantly more than $90 million. Just mobilizing 24,000 military personnel was one of our biggest humanitarian efforts ever by the U.S. military. And in addition, here at the embassy, we brought in nuclear experts, healthcare experts, you name it. We brought them here to help in any way we could for the Japanese government, not only to help the earthquake and tsunami victims, but obviously confront the nuclear issue. And it was just something that we were proud to help in a very small way. Obviously, your government stepped up in a significant way because it was Japan that first and foremost had to deal with this crisis. But we wanted to help in any way we could. And by the way, it wasn't just our military or our government that wanted to help and did help. It was really all the American people. I can't tell you the number of contributions and emails and letters that people asked me to deliver to the people of Tohoku, and kids in elementary school giving up their milk money to help their friends in Japan. It was an incredible emotional outpouring by all the American people. For me personally, it was the most difficult and emotional experience I've been through in my life. I went 12 days after the earthquake up to the disaster area, and one of the first places I went to was Ishinomaki, to an evacuation center, and obviously I was very sad with all these people that had lost loved ones and were suffering so much. But I, along with the rest of the world, saw and was moved by the strength of the Japanese people. People have talked about the resilience, the calmness. I witnessed it firsthand, and since then I have periodically, I've probably been up there about a dozen times. In fact, I'm going up there tonight, and I will be in the region all day tomorrow, because I think it's important not only to continue to try to help in any way we can, but to continue to send the message that the United States and the world has not forgotten what has happened there. And even though the international media moves on, and today, of course, they're covering the crisis in Oklahoma, and there have been crises all over the world since then. As we all know, people continue to suffer long after the cameras are gone. So I know I speak on behalf of the United States that we will continue to do whatever we can to help the people of Tohoku as it's going to be years as they go through this rebuilding process. Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Next, we have a question from Naha about U.S. military bases in Okinawa. Naha Consulate, please go ahead with your question.
Okay, here's my question. What do you think about the most of Okinawans' reaction to the bases in Okinawa? Most of us think or want to reduce the amount of bases here. From your point of view, or from the U.S. point of view, I would like to know, what do you think?
Well, that's an excellent question, and obviously it's a very complex question. As a U.S. ambassador, one of the things I have worked very hard on over the last 4 years is reducing the impact of our bases in Okinawa. I totally understand the feelings of the people of Okinawa, and I know there are different feelings, by the way. Some people are very supportive of the bases, others are not, but I think we all agree that it's very important to reduce the impact of the bases. Let me back up a little bit, because I think it's important to look at all this in the context. The security relationship, the security alliance between the United States and Japan is so important in so many different ways. But at the highest level, it really is this alliance that has been primarily responsible for keeping peace and security in this region of the world for over 50 years. And Why is that important? Because it has allowed for the economic development of this region of the world, not only including Japan, but your neighbors. That is important to all of us. And so keeping this alliance strong is very important to continuing to maintain peace and stability. And I think we all recognize that this area of the world is not getting any less dangerous. In fact, many argue it's getting more dangerous. We have North Korea doing its best to develop nuclear weapons that will be a threat, quite frankly, to its neighbors, Japan, and a threat to my country, the United States. And there are other issues in this region of the world. So the U.S. presence is very important. At the same time, it's very important that we reduce the impact of our bases in Okinawa. If you look at the realignment roadmap, the agreement that we negotiated several years ago now, if we could get that implemented, that would significantly reduce the impact of our bases. It will send many more of our troops to other parts of the region. It will get Futenma closed, that we all agree needs to be closed. It will move the base to a much less populated area of northern Okinawa, and it will return a significant amount of baseland to the Okinawans. And that's one piece of what we must continue to do to address the concerns of the people of Okinawa. So I think it's a complex issue that we must really continue to work together on, because on the one hand, I think we all agree we need to maintain the strength of our forces and the strength of the alliance. On the other hand, we always need to be sensitive to the people of Okinawa in meeting the concerns in that region. And by the way, in Okinawa. And by the way, I've been to Okinawa a number of times, and I intend to go down there again next month to see the governor and to visit other parts of Okinawa. Because I think one of the roles, when you were asking earlier, what's the role of the ambassador? I think one of my roles is to continue to listen and to understand the concerns, obviously not only in Okinawa, but elsewhere in Japan, but to understand the concerns, to relay those to my own government, and to continue to work as friends and partners to address these types of difficult issues as they come up.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Now we'll go back to Toyama so they can ask you a question about internationalization. Toyama Chubu High School, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Karen. And once again, it's nice to meet you, Roos. And my favorite karaoke song is Black Swiss, Never Getting Back Together, but leave it aside. And my question. The world is getting more globalized and more focused on internationalization. However, recently, the number of students who study abroad has decreased, as you can see in this graph, and the number is lower than the other countries. Then my question is this: How do you think this situation will affect my generation of leaders? And what abilities do you think are needed for today's students to play an active role in global society?
Well, that's a wonderful question. It's a great question, and that chart sums up the problem. If you look at the number of students in Japan studying in the United States, you used to be number 1, and now you're number 7. And the number of students has dropped from over 50% in the last decade. We need to change that. People ask me, what am I concerned about in the relationship between Japan and the United States? And I say I'm not at all concerned about the strength of our security alliance. I'm not at all concerned about the strength of our economic relationship. And right now, we have incredibly deep people-to-people ties. But one of the reasons I'm sitting here talking to all of you is I am very concerned about the decreasing connection between the younger generation of Japan and the younger generation of the United States. And we need to reverse that. Now, I will tell you, people say to me, well, your generation is inward looking and is not that interested in the outside world. My response to them is, I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. I've met young people, including you, obviously, but young people all over Japan. And I think that if the opportunities are provided to your younger generation and the incentives, by the way, if corporate Japan makes it clear that it's valued for you to study overseas and that they will hire you and consider that an advantage to study overseas, I believe more and more students will study overseas. We have to reverse this trend. We live in a globalized world. I can tell all of you, by the way, are, with your English skills, they will be to your benefit throughout your entire life. I think the way to become global citizens, and obviously the way to become close to my country, is to study, work, travel in my country, and I would encourage you to do it in other parts of the world as well. I started out by saying that my son came here in his last year of high school and was running around Shibuya doing God knows what. But I will tell you, he developed a lifelong connection to Japan by having that experience. And I know many of you who are part of this Google Hangout today have spent time studying in the United States. And I would hope, but I also have little doubt, that that has created a connection, an interest in my country that will last for a lifetime. So I think we need to make these opportunities. That's one of the reasons for the Tomodachi Initiative, is to give people exposure to my country so they will have this interest and create this lifelong bond. So I hope that that chart that you just showed me, it has gone from here and it will begin to go up. I will tell you, and a little bit of good news, we are seeing here at the embassy an increase in requests for student visas. A lot of them to go over to the United States for short-term English study. I think that's a wonderful sign. It's too early to call that a trend and to change your graph. But we need to change that. And by the way, you need to change that. You need to get your friends to study overseas. The president of the University of Washington was here about a month ago, and I may not have these figures exactly right, but it'll give you a sense of the challenge. He told me that in their freshman class, their first year class, they have 1,000 overseas students. 600 of those students were from China, 150 of those students were from South Korea, 15 of those students were from Japan. That number needs to change. And he was here in Japan seeking to have more and more Japanese students. And so I know all of you who are watching me right now get it, but I really hope you will become ambassadors for your country and encourage your friends to take advantage of opportunities overseas, because it's important to the future, not only the relationship between Japan and the United States, but I believe it's important to the future of Japan. Karen?
Great message, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you. Next, our friends in Roppongi Academy Hills would like to ask you an interesting question about leadership in different cultures. Academy Hills, go ahead.
Thank you, Colin. Ambassador, I would like to ask you about the leadership. Do you feel there are differences in types of successful leadership in Japan and US? I feel there are differences in the type of effective leadership depending on the culture. I feel in Japan, the leadership requires a lot of facilitation and consulting ability to team to gain consensus. I wonder if this approach works in multinational teams.
That's you guys are really coming up with some great questions here, and that again is an excellent question. I personally believe that leadership comes in all shades, in all sizes, shapes. People can be leaders through listening, through building consensus, by showing other parts of their personality. There's not just one way of becoming a leader. And I think that what you're referring to is the, quote, Japanese, the more typical Japanese leadership qualities of listening and building consensus is very important and can be very effective on the global scene. I don't know if I'm a leader, but I have always felt it is very important to listen carefully to what people are saying to you. Listen carefully to those who have an opposite view and try to find common ground. And that's consensus building, similar to what you were referring to with regard to the Japanese means of leadership. So I don't think there's any one way of being a leader. And if you look at the leaders around the world, there are those that are effective and those that are ineffective. And I don't think you can pinpoint specific qualities that are needed. So to answer your question, I think the Japanese way of showing leadership is can be very, very effective, not only here in Japan, but in other parts of the world as well.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Before we go back to Shibuya, I'd like to ask one more question on behalf of one of your Twitter followers. This is a question from @SC_Hanako. The question is, do you feel that there are any cultural differences between the work of government officials in the United States and in Japan?
Well, first of all, thank you for following me on Twitter. And I hope you're all following me on Twitter, and everyone that's listening in or will listen in the future follows me on Twitter, even after I'm no longer ambassador. I think the question that was just asked in many ways has similar qualities to the prior question. The different ways that leadership is shown in Japan versus other countries. And yes, there are differences. There are cultural differences in the way U.S. government officials work and the way Japanese government officials work. But I think once you get to know each other, deep down, basically our values are all the same. And so I think it sometimes takes a little extra work to understand the means of communication and the messages that are sent from both sides, from both Japan and the United States. But our countries work incredibly closely together. Our government officials do in times of peace and where we're seeking prosperity, or in times of crisis. like we faced in March 11th. And sometimes it takes a little extra time because of the cultural and language differences. But, you know, as the borders of the world are coming down and we live in a globalized world, those being able to communicate and work together across geographical borders is increasingly important. And there again, I have to tell you, the advantage that all of you have that are participating in this session today, with your English skills, it's going to put you to a huge advantage. It really is. Like it or not, the closest thing to a global language is English, and that doesn't mean that it's not important to learn other languages. I wish my Japanese skills were a lot better, but I think that you're going to find that you will be able to break through some of the cultural barriers and communication barriers that exist through the fact that you have, in addition to your Japanese language skills, your incredible English skills that you've displayed in this session today.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. We're going through our time fairly quickly, and so I may jump around a little bit so that we can get one or two more questions in. Let's go back to Shibuya again so that they can ask another important question. Shibuya, go ahead.
In order to make this world better, what should we do as Japanese?
Well, let me tell you, what you're doing right now is going to lead to making this world better. You are communicating, you know, with me, and I would encourage you to communicate with many more people of my country and other countries. I think, by the way, many of you have already done it, but the most important thing you can do to make this world better is to learn more about this world. And the most important, the easiest way and the most effective way of learning more about the world we live in is to study, travel, and work overseas. And so I would encourage you, obviously as a U.S. ambassador to Japan, I want you to come to the United States because my responsibility is to make our countries get closer and closer. But let me tell you something. Japan is an incredible country. I've now lived here for 4 years, and my wife has along with me. We love this country. It's an amazing country. It's an educated country. It's a wealthy country. It's a country with incredible culture, history. The whole world has so much to learn from you and from the people of Japan. And let's not have them learn it just through television or through the internet. You need to be ambassadors for your country. And you need to be all over the world. And so I would encourage you, and you're hearing a common theme here, is to, this will always be your home. Just like the U.S. will always be my home, and we love where we come from, and we are very committed to where we come from. But in working to solve the world's problems, we need to think in global terms, all of us, and particularly the young people throughout the world.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. I'm going to jump to Toyama, Chubu High School, for another question about depopulation in rural areas of Japan. Go ahead, Toyama.
Thank you, Colin. In recent years, overpopulation has occurred in areas such as Tokyo and Osaka. These areas are becoming more popular with Japanese and foreign people as well. But on the other hand, the rural prefectures are suffering from depopulation, which is negatively affecting their local economies. We heard that you have traveled all of the 47 prefectures in Japan. And my question is, what do you think of Toyama, and how can less well-known prefectures like Toyama gain more attention in terms of business or international affairs?
Well, by the way, let me just congratulate Toyama Chuba High School for having the best graphs and charts in this session. By the way, one of the things that I really wanted to do as the ambassador is not just be in the urban areas of Tokyo and Osaka, but to go all over Japan to bring attention to the fact that there are wonderful places, not just in Tokyo or the urban centers, but throughout Japan. You know, I visited Toyama, Gokuyama, had some incredible thatched homes there that I think are UNESCO heritage sites, and there are these World Heritage sites all over Japan, and I think they could pull tourists from throughout Japan. And by the way, when you're a U.S. ambassador, you have special police that are responsible for your security. And one of my special police who has been with me my entire time, almost my entire time in Japan, is from Toyama. And so he always tells me that I need to spend more time in your prefecture, which I would love to do. But I think, you know, you, again, I have the title ambassador right now, but you guys are incredible ambassadors for Toyama, and so it's part of, again, I hate to keep giving you all the responsibility here, but I think you should get the message out that there are these wonderful parts of Japan, you know, throughout the 47 prefectures, and that people from all over the world should come and visit. By the way, my wife continually talks to people in Japan and says that this is one of the most amazing places in the world, and Japan needs to do a better job of letting the rest of the world know what an amazing place this is. Everywhere from the skiing to the coastline of the Sea of Japan, to Okinawa, where there are some wonderful beaches, and obviously Shibuya, where some great ramen and a lot of fun at Shibuya Crossing, and Roppongi Hills, which is I've spent half my time at Roppongi Hills. So the message that all of you should give is that Japan has so much to offer in so many different ways, and obviously it's throughout the entire country.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. I think we have a time for one final quick question, and I'm going to go to Naha with apologies to my friends in Roppongi, and let them ask you a question about your impression of Japan. Go ahead, Naha.
Hello, Mr. Ambassador. How do you image change of Japan from your initial impressions versus after you came to Japan?
Well, I think that, I mean, that's a great question to end on. I think you picked up throughout this session on the admiration that not only me, but my entire family has of Japan. Since coming here 4 years ago, my whole family, I mean, we've fallen in love with this country and have really grown to have a deep appreciation for its culture, for its history, for its food. I will tell you, I was in San Francisco, and there is a vibrant Japanese community and wonderful Japanese food, by the way. My daughter, I think she wanted sushi almost every meal growing up. But then we came here to Japan, and the sushi here is so incredible that it's hard to go back to San Francisco. But you know, I've done so many things since arriving here. I've climbed Mount Fuji, and there's no better view than from the top of Mount Fuji. but I've done things in like this Koyasan, this Buddhist temple in Wakayama Prefecture. The spirituality I felt just spending the night there, and it was a spectacularly beautiful area. As I said, I love going down to Okinawa, the coast of the Sea of Japan, and obviously just living here in Tokyo. So you really get a deep appreciation for a country when you live there. And there's just no substitute for it. And I will tell you, and I tell students this, one of the biggest mistakes I think I made when I was younger is I did not study abroad. And looking back, I think I did a lot of good things in school, but that was a big mistake. And I have encouraged my children, who have now both had wonderful experiences abroad, and I encourage everyone not to make the same mistake that I did and to take advantage of these opportunities, because the world is an incredible place, and when you have an opportunity to live somewhere, like I have lived in Japan for the last 4 years, you recognize how much you miss out if you don't take advantage of these types of opportunities.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. I think we're going to conclude our Ask the Ambassador social media town hall right there. I hope that everyone had a good time and had an opportunity to ask some of the questions that you wanted to. Academy Hills, I apologize again, but I hope that you all enjoyed the event. We plan to produce a video of this event, and we'll let you all know when it becomes available online.
Hey, Karen, can I say something final?
Yes, Mr. Ambassador, go ahead.
Listen, I just want to thank all of you. And by the way, Academy Hills, if you have more questions, contact the embassy or Karen, and we'll set up a session over here, and you can come and finish asking your questions. But I've loved looking at the smiles on your faces throughout this entire session. As I've told everyone in my country, I've met this younger generation in Japan, and this country has absolutely nothing to worry about if it has young people like you that are thinking about the future here. So I wish you all the best of luck, and thank you all for taking the time to be with me today. And I hope to see you all again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you all.
See you later.